I'm Margaret and this is Mag's Sing-Along. Today I'm going to talk about overtones and how you can use them to improve your singing. So what are overtones? Well, before we talk about that, we should talk about what sound is. Sound is basically just little air particles hitting each other at a steady rate, and they move through empty spaces of air in a wave-like formation, just like ripples in water. Now, the quicker or faster the wave is, the higher the pitch will be. Because they're hitting each other so fast, it ends up being a higher frequency of hitting or a higher pitch. Now, slower waves are a lower pitch because they are hitting each other at a slower rate, a slower frequency. Now, the cool thing about sound is that we will hear one pitch, but there's actually a whole bunch of other pitches vibrating above it at the same time, but we don't hear those usually. Those are called overtones. They're vibrating above the initial tone or pitch that we hear. And everything that makes sound in nature does this, except for tuning forks and electronic sounds. So our voices do this. While I am making this note, oh, there are a whole bunch of other notes also vibrating, but we only hear oh, one. Now, what's even cooler about overtones is that there is actually a mathematical equation to where those tones are in every sound in nature. That's called the harmonic series. It's basically the equation of where pitches are vibrating. So, for example, if I am singing this note, oh, the next pitch that's vibrating above it is vibrating twice as fast, which puts it 2 octaves above the pitch that I'm singing. So that means it's right here, very high. Now, the pitch above that is vibrating 3 times as fast, which puts it about 1/5 above. And then 4 times as fast is right above that, about 1/3 above. And then 5 times as fast, and then 7 times as fast. And then I can't play it on the piano anymore because you see that getting smaller and smaller, and then it's not whole steps or half steps anymore, it's in between. So all of those notes are vibrating while I sing, ah, which is crazy. So now the question is, why don't we hear those overtones vibrating? I mean, we only hear one sound, why can't we hear the others? Well, we kind of do hear those other pitches, but our brain doesn't interpret them as pitch. Our brain interprets it as a color or a quality to the sound. And another reason why we don't hear it is because those higher pitches don't vibrate as loudly. They're softer than the loudest, the lowest pitch that we hear. So that's why we don't really hear it. However, we can play with the acoustics. We can actually play with our resonators and amplify some of those overtones, or dampen, make them softer, just by playing with how the sound is traveling inside of our face and our throat. Now, this is called overtone singing, and all you do is you want to sing a low pitch in your voice that is comfortable, and you want to imagine singing like an O shape, so you want to drop your jaw and round your lips and go, oh. Once that feels comfortable, keeping that same O shape with your jaw and lips, you're going to actually move your tongue forward slowly inside your mouth and try to listen to the sound that you're making and see if you notice a change in the color of the sound. you might hear some little whistle tones above the pitch. You might also feel it above your tongue too. I typically feel a change in pressure above my tongue, almost like I'm catching the overtone. Try it one more time. You can even hear the da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Those overtones are 2 octaves above and more. So I'm just moving my tongue forward and back, high close to my hard palate. And it takes a little bit of practice. You can play around with it, but you have to listen for those whistle tones and then try to amplify them more by giving it more air. Now, not all of us are training to become overtone singers. So how do we apply this knowledge of overtones to regular singing? Well, we know that when there are more overtones being amplified in the sound, it adds a sense of depth to the sound, more color, more vibrancy, rather than having them not be there. I'll give you an example. I'm going to sing first phrase from Sting's Fields of Gold. I'm going to sing it without amplifying overtones, and then with. You'll remember me when the west wind moves among the fields of barley. So the sound does, I am vibrating those overtones, I can't not do that, but I'm not amplifying them. I'm not allowing them to vibrate in my sinuses and nose, so the brain doesn't hear them vibrate. They're very, very soft. So we only hear the initial fundamental pitch, and the sound sounds kind of flat, kind of dark, hooty. It doesn't have much body to it. So now I'm going to allow my sound to circulate a little bit more forward in my face, letting it into the sinuses and nose. And if you can't do that on command, it takes a little bit of practice. I would find a teacher to help you. But you just want to think a little bit more forward in your face. You'll remember me when the west wind moves among the fields of barley. The color of my sound changed a lot. You could call it brighter, more forward, and there is more depth to it. And that's only because I'm allowing those overtones to be amplified. And they amplify more in tinier spaces of air, so our sinuses and nose. And that's basically overtones and how to use them to improve your singing. I'm Margaret, and this is Mag's Sing Along. You can join me every month for more tips on singing.